Chris Hani, who was without any doubt the most popular black politician in South Africa after Nelson Mandela, some argue, in the 90s, was gunned down in the driveway of his home on the 10th of April in 1993. Shortly before he was killed, he had expressed his dissatisfaction with the negotiations that were ongoing at the time. He pointed out that there was a danger that the movement would be hijacked by self-serving interests once the ANC ascended to power. This came after the ANC was unbanned by the Apartheid government following its decision to suspend the armed struggle. We are now joined to reflect on the legacy of Chris Hani by the leader of Black First, Land First, Andile Mngxitama. Thank you very much for availing yourself this afternoon. Over the past couple of days, a lot has been said about Janus Walush and his impending parole and release on parole. Let's talk about Dadu Hani. Who was he?
Yes, thanks for the invite. I think firstly we must pay our respect to the MK cadre who attacked Walush in jail. We are not apologetic at all with standing with that action, because Walush has taken the life of one of the most loved and respected revolutionary sons of this nation. He knew what he was doing, and in fact the removal of Chris Hani from our society has ensured that the right-wing agenda, which has persisted since 1994, become a reality where black majority rule has become meaningless because his voice is absent, his guidance is not there, and the possibility for radical change of society has been expunged by the hand of these right-wingers. Chris Hani was a brave, intellectual, revolutionary leader. We know that he was involved in proper engagement with the apartheid military in the border wars. We know that he even defied the ANC itself when the ANC was not willing to fight, was corrupt and degenerate in exile. He was actually punished by the ANC for standing up for the truth inside the ANC. So we can imagine that part of the rot which has visited the ANC today could have been stopped by a voice such as Chris Hani. The ANC would not have degenerated to the extent that it has. The ANC would not have gone back to right-wing economic policies which affect our people negatively. There would have been a real possibility for South Africa to change in the interest of the black majority. So that was a monumental loss for our people and our nation and our dreams for change.
Those who lived during his time in literature suggests that he commanded incredible attention from the young people of the time. Could that be one of the reasons why that he was seen as a true champion who aligned truly and indeed with the people?
Yes, I mean, the revolutionary youth of this country immediately identified with Chris Hani's mission, because he was a straight-talking leader, and he was very principled, and was very radical, and very brave as well. Those are very admirable qualities which revolutionary young people are attracted to, and that is why Chris Hani was seen in the manner that he was, and that is why the enemy was so terrified of Chris Hani. Because Chris Hani would have been able, we believe, to hold the ANC's hand away from turning against the black agenda, which is what happened. They removed him. There were reactionaries inside the ANC who benefited from the removal of Chris Hani. But the right wing itself was very terrified of the possibility of a government which would put the interests of black people first, a government which would have address the land question, for instance. If Chris Hani's influence was there and his role, and it was clear that he was even reluctant to go into government because he wanted to become the eye and the ear of the people. which would enforce the ANC to move in the correct direction. We don't have that force, we don't have that wisdom, we don't have that intelligence, and the ANC as it is now, it has been turned into a corrupt, as we see the president of the country is implicated in serious corruption and is being defended by the same ANC. It shows that the moral rectitude of the movement, of the revolutionary movement, is gone. With the death of Chris Hani, this shift into the right-wing, anti-black, corrupt possibility became real and easy to be facilitated. So Chris Hani is missed in the South African transition to democracy.
You speak of how he would have possibly championed the issue of land amongst just one issue. If you go back, the ANC is over 100 years old, and maybe we take a look at some of the work that was started by Udatu Pixlika Isaac Aseme. He also championed the issue of land, right? And so when you take a look at some of the greatest leaders, not only also in South Africa, maybe Ghana, for instance, Kwame Nkrumah, it has very well been argued that these were great visionaries. However, they did not have the correct foot soldiers or people around him. So with that, I guess the simple question is, your assessment of the ANC over the years, that Chris Hani is not, the only great person to come out of South Africa, yet the organization, what is stopping it, from your assessment, from reaching its goal?
Well, individuals do play a big role in revolutionary processes. I mean, in South Africa, for instance, we know Steve Biko turned the whole consciousness of black people towards a radical black consciousness, where we saw that the children of Soweto 1976 were so imbued with the spirit of black consciousness that they took on the apartheid regime, and the role of one person is quite critical. And here also we're going to argue that Chris Hani's role in keeping the ANC on the path towards saving the people was critical. And the enemy was very clear that the most dangerous person for the white interest, the white monopoly interest, the interests of those who own South Africa, is Chris Hani. Because he's so loved, he's able to mobilize young people and revolutionary forces towards pushing the ANC towards a revolutionary agenda. Because it is clear that he would not have stood for the rot that has gone on. So it is important to recognize the role of individuals, such as you mentioned Kwame Nkrumah. They removed Kwame Nkrumah through the CIA-inspired coup, and Ghana has not recovered from that. The same with the Democratic Republic of Congo, where they made that Patrice Lumumba. The enemy knows the critical leaders of our people who have the possibility to push society to change, and they remove them and they put puppets. Right now we are ruled by puppets, corrupt puppets, puppets that make sure that South Africa does not move in the direction of saving the interests of our people. Puppets who are bought, as we know, that, White Capital, for instance, put R1 billion to assist President Ramaphosa to buy the ANC conference. We are sitting with the problem of lack of leadership, because leaders of our people are normally killed and neutralized, or those who are left behind are simply criminalized and are seen as people who can't take us further. That is how the enemy manages to run its agenda. Even now, they are going to present us with another puppet who might replace the compromised President Ramaphosa. We are dealing with a very complex enemy that thinks 100 years ahead, and it is a very clear agenda to arrest the liberation of our people.
Black First, Land First leader Andile Mngxitama, thank you. All things